Today on Lost and Found Muscle Cars, we are going to be talking to NHRA Hall of Famer and the first person ever to win back-to-back U.S. and Winter Nationals, Don the Snake Prudhomme. Don is also here to talk about his new book, Don the Snake Prudhomme, My Life Beyond the 1320. Guess what else Don has to talk about? He had an amazing 1970 Cuda that was gifted to him by Chrysler to use for promotional work and marketing material stuff for the 1970 season. Don's going to give us all the details he has on that Cuda and also brush us up on some cool stories involving Carroll Shelby and others.
Amen.
Look at this today, guys. I got Don the Snake Prudhomme here. I call Don a friend, man. We go back a few years. And I was blessed with the opportunity to be your editor on your brand new book, and it was such a phenomenal read, and you open yourself up, buddy.
Yeah, hell, if you're gonna write a book, man, you better tell the truth, and you better tell it like it is, and that's what I tried to do. I get asked so many questions, at the ropes, at the races, and people coming up and asking me things, and I just thought I'd put it all in this book. So, if I didn't want to know anything about my personal life or anything, here I am.
And that was it. I mean, this is really, and the subtitle tells it all. It's your life beyond the 1320. It's not the ETs. It's not the events. It's not the races. There's a little bit of that in there, but it's the who, what, where, when, why, how. That's really what this book was.
Yeah, pretty much. A guy like Gartless, Don Gartless, who's, the greatest, right? But he doesn't, he remembers everything. He can tell you what compounded tires he had on in 1965. And I'm not like that, man. I'm a gearhead, but nothing like him. And my story is more about, I think, life, just the way I came up and the struggles we went through. And, I was an early drag racer. I mean, nobody was making money drag racing back then. It was just strictly for the love of it. That's the only reason I got in. I never thought I'd make a living or money at it.
Well, and Don, it all starts somewhere, right? It's a car. It's noise. It's got this attitude that drives you to wanting to be involved with the automobile. And for you, I mean, that goes all the way back to a cousin of yours, right?
Yeah, I still have a cousin by the name of Harold Mazier, and he lived over the hill. I'm out in the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles here, and he was in Gardena, and we'd go visit them when I was just a kid on a weekend or so, and he had this hot rod in his garage. And my God, I just fell in love with it. I mean, it was like a 32, no fenders on it. It was just, I never seen anything like that. I don't know what I was, maybe 11, 12 years old at the time, and that's where I got the bug.
Wow. And then later on, you ended up painting cars for your cousin, did you not?
Yeah, well, I started painting cars, period. Yeah. That's what I was doing. My dad was in the body shop business, painting cars, and of course, my cousin Harold painted his car a couple of times, and Ival's cars, and a few of the Tony Nancy, a few of the guys in the Road Kings that I was in car club, and I was kind of the local free painter,
Yeah. Hey, well, you got to start somewhere. Yeah. And did you foresee yourself as maybe becoming a professional painter when you're started cutting your teeth here on these other cars? I mean, are you building up to maybe that's what you want to be?
That's a good question. Probably because that's all I knew. Yeah. So I hadn't really discovered drag racing then, and I don't know, man. I didn't do very good in school. I was terrible there, and so I kind of really thought that's what I'd end up doing is painting cars. You're right. Until I discovered hot rods and Road Kings at Burbank and all that changed my life.
Yeah, and then you met your best friend Tom McCurry too, right? I mean, he's a car guy just like you, and basically you guys start this thing together where you're going to start building cars together, right?
Yeah, it was Tom McCurry. Yeah,
McCurry, my
Tom
father.
McCurry. Yeah, yeah, we met at the skating rink. I was about 14 or so. We met at the skating rink, and I don't know, man. We just hooked up. He was really my all-time first best friend,
That's cool.
and it stayed that way until he passed, which wasn't that many years ago.
And in the book, there's a great story, and you're going to have to read it in the book to hear this. But this Snake and Tom decided to go, maybe borrow a transmission from a junkyard. We're just going to
Oh
leave.
yeah,
We're just going to leave it at that. You gotta get the book to hear that story. But
yeah.
so here you are. You guys you're painting Don. You're working on cars. You're getting involved with the Road Kings, and you get a chance to meet Tommy Ival.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And
Well,
is that
yeah.
the beginning of where it's going to start for you for drag racing, or is it already starting a little bit with the Road Kings?
Well, Ival was in the Road Kings. He was, you know, really popular guy in the Road Kings. He was, they call him TV Tommy. He was in some movies and did television work and so on. So, yeah, uh, he was a big deal in the club, and him and I just really hooked up. I started polishing his wheels and cleaning his car and everything I could do to be involved. And yeah, that's how it started. That's how it
Yeah.
started. Yeah.
So your indoctrination from starting drag racing to being a top performer, it's a
Uh huh.
very short duration. It's only a handful of years. I mean, by the time we get to 64, you're on top of it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Although I didn't think of it in those terms, they were on top of it. I kind of grew with the sport. I
Yeah.
got a chance to drive a car for a guy by the name of Kent Fuller and Dave Zuchel, and we went to Bakersfield, which was the biggest fuel and gas race in California, anyhow, because at that time NHRA was not running nitro. So
Hmm.
Bakersfield was kind of like this outlaw. Chris Karamessinis, Don Gartless, everybody from everywhere went to Bakersfield, and we ended up winning the race in top fuel. And so that really, I guess, kind of put me on the map. I didn't really think of it in those terms at the time, but it was a huge race to win and be the driver of the car. And it was a big deal for me. It really launched my career. Yeah.
And you're a young fella at this time too. I mean, you're dealing with guys like Garlitz, who's been racing since the mid '50s, and
Oh
and
yeah.
and here you are. You explode onto the scene in a few short years. You're racking up the win tally.
Yeah.
How were you welcomed into the sport?
Oh, I don't know if I. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if you ever really welcome in. With those with those guys, they wanted to kick your ass. It wasn't like it is today, where you get
Yeah.
out of the car and kiss each other and hug each other after you lose. I'll tell you, Don Garlis and guys like that, they weren't going to kiss you at the end of the track. It was a way tougher group than it is today. There was a guy that we raced in the final. Uh, he owned the car. His name was Ted Gotelli. He had a speed shop up in San Francisco, and they called him Terrible Ted. And he didn't like me at all. We kicked his ass in the final. We beat him, and man, he was. It was tough times. It was way different than it is in today's world. I mean, you're always arguing, or in the staging lanes, or at the other end, or some goddamn thing. It wasn't peaches and cream like it is today.
Well, let me ask you this question though: if you're driving and you guys are a traveling caravan, you guys are
Yeah.
going to the next spot. Now, if you see somebody up ahead that you know and they're pulled over with the hood up, are you stopping or are you trucking on by?
Oh, we're stopping. No, we're
Okay.
stopping. It didn't happen that much. I mean,
Yeah.
one time I was broke down. This is I'm towing a little rig down the road and stuff. My wife and I, we were broke down, and Garlett's um, come by, and he pulled over, and geez, we unhooked my trailer to put it on his truck, and towed it to the drag strip. They came back and got his trailer, and things like that. But you'd all jump in there and help someone.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. But when you're at the racetrack racing, I mean, Garlis, he was tough. He's as tough as they come, and so it was a different world back then. But to me, it was the best times. I mean, I really enjoyed those days, to be honest.
Well, you both know that. I mean, if neither Don Prudhomme or Don Garlits shows up at the track, there's less seats less butts in the seats. There's probably
Yeah,
less payday. So yeah, you got to pull over, help that guy get to the race so you can kick his ass.
yeah, yeah. They had us booked in. See what? But back in the day, we're talking.
Hmm.
Uh, we booked our car around the country. We
Right.
would You would build a name, which thankfully I did because of Bakersfield and driving the Greer Black Prudhomme car and those cars. I picked up a pretty good name, and so tracks around the country would call you. And there was a guy by the name of Frank LeSueur. He would call a lot. We bought nitro from him, and he would book us into Maple Grove, wherever the hell they were.
Oh wow. Okay.
All different tracks around the country. He would book us, and Mongoose, all of us. That's how we made a living. You couldn't make a living running NHRA races. For one thing, there wasn't hardly any, and for another thing, they didn't pay much.
Yeah.
So match racing is where we made a living. That's where that's how we got by.
So I'm going to keep the car theme going here, Prudhomme, and you get to the U.S. Nationals in '65. You guys win again, right? You
Yep.
go back to back, and you're gifted, you and your team, a '65 Barracuda from Indy, and it's in the book. There's a story about you guys had to give that thing back so you could get some scratch to get home, right?
I don't. You're talking about the street Hemi or the Cudas we drove, or
No,
what?
no, the '65 Barracuda they gave you as a gift
Yeah,
for winning the U.S. Nationals. They'd always give you a lump sum and then
yeah.
a car or something. And I believe you said in the book that you guys gave that car back and got the value of the money of the car instead.
Back then we need the money more than the car.
Yeah,
So I'm sure that's the way it happened. But muscle cars and like when we ran the Hot Wheels deal and we
yeah,
got Plymouth to to sponsor us. That was a pretty big deal. The mechanics of that was really the Mongoose, Tom McEwen. Him and I traveled around like we're talking about match race all around the country. Our dragsters, Snake and the Mongoose, going to race tonight, and we had a hell of a following. And he had the idea to go to Mattel to talk to them about a sponsorship. And up until that time, I had a sponsor with Win Oil Company, which was the biggest thing I ever had. And Tom, anyhow, he went to Mattel, and lo and behold, they loved the idea. And I
wow.
think we back a couple days later, the two of us went back because they wanted to see me, and we sit down there and hammered out a deal. It was unbelievable. This guy by the name of Larry Woods, who worked for Hot Wheels for probably 50 years, when we went back to the meeting, he had already had the cars drawn up on what the Hot Wheel cars were going to look like
Mm.
and the paint schemes for the cars. And man, it was a done deal. It happened, and it's really good for them and good for us.
And it's one of the most critical moments in drag racing history. And what I mean there is that most of your guys' cars were sponsored by dealerships, or they were
Yeah.
you guys putting your own money together and putting your own names on the cars, etc. Now
Yes.
this is a corporation that really had no association with drag racing at all, and to bring them on board, and now basically every sponsorship you see out there. Um, is not a car dealership. And Itasca Ford's probably the only one running a sponsored vehicle from a dealership. But you guys really broke open that wall of bringing in these new types of sponsors.
Yeah, I must say that's yeah, we were, if not the, I think we were about the first to do that. I mean, we weren't keeping track of that. Geez, we're going
Yeah.
to be the first ones to do this. Up until that time, it was Pennzoil and Winds and sponsors like that, and Goodyear, uh, Champion Spark Plugs, or whatever, but no non-automotive Fortune 500 companies like Mattel. And so, yeah, that really opened the door for a lot of people like Ed the Ace and Ivo and all those guys that were running to toy companies and
Yeah.
Mattel and every place else to get sponsorship. And Ravel.
Yep.
So we, Mongoose, myself, we pretty much started all that. Yes.
Yeah. So now let me ask you this, Snake. You guys are offered two different Plymouths, a
Uh huh.
Duster and a Cuda. Now,
Uh huh.
when this came to be, did you look at the cars and think what would work better aerodynamically? And did you and Mongoose
No.
have to fight it out and determine who got what?
No. Now that's a good question. You know, Tom. Um, he didn't care. He
Oh.
didn't care if it was the Duster or the Barracuda. And
Hmm.
Dick Maxwell, who was running Plymouth at the time, I had a connection with him before the Hot Wheels deal because of Keith Black. And he was, Keith, of course, was a Chrysler guy, a Dodge guy, a Plymouth guy, and the Hemis. And so I had a connection with Maxwell, and he wanted to see me in the Barracuda.
Okay.
He wanted me to run the Cuda, and the Cuda was kind of their high performance car, and so that's the one they want me in. And I think they thought I was going to win more races than Mongoose, so they wanted me in the Cuda.
Well, both the Duster and the Cuda were brand new. The Cuda was reskinned for 70, and the Duster was a brand new model. Now, there's that awesome picture, Don, that shows you and Goose with Wally Parks, and you guys are at Pomona.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about this photo. Give our
Well,
listeners some gossip here.
the cars were just completed. Our trucks, the Hot Wheel haulers, and the cars were on them, and we were at Pomona fairgrounds there at the drag strip and taking pictures of the cars. And it was so new, the cars still had the spoilers on the roof
I
in
see
those
that.
pictures. So we hadn't really run the cars. We were just there doing publicity. And the Cudas were really cool cars, but I got to tell you, I was never really a guy that wanted to jump in a Cuda and haul ass and go down the street in it. I liked them, but I wasn't that much of a muscle car guy. I'd rather have a Lincoln Continental or something
Mm.
like that. But they
You're
were
used to
cool.
traveling long distances, and you want comfort.
Yeah, kind of like that. Because when you race those things, those funny cars. I mean, they're loud and really badass. So there's really nothing you could get into and drive on the street that would even come close to that. So, but
Yeah.
I liked the Cudas. I mean, I liked them a lot. They were badass. I never had one with a Hemi in it, but maybe Tom did. I'm not sure, but it was. We were just full blown drag racers, man.
So what we're talking about, everybody, is Don and Tom both got matching 71 Cudas, or excuse
Yeah,
me, 70 Cudas, and there's a vinyl top on one and not on the other. And
yeah.
these were worked into a deal by a Goose that you guys got comped these cars for probably a calendar year as sort of a marketing piece. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well yeah, but it was not uncommon for Dick Landy or Stockton Martin or those guys who
Yeah.
it wasn't uncommon for those guys to be driving around in Cudas and stuff like that at the drag strip. I mean, that
Sure.
was
Cool. Cool.
yeah. So it was those cars. I mean, I know they're plenty awesome now. They're really collector cars, but at the time, um, yeah, it was cool. Not
Yeah,
as cool as
when
it
you're
is.
living it, sometimes you're too close to it, right?
Yeah,
And
pretty much. I think so. Pretty much. Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
It's
from
yeah.
sorry.
I mean, hey, in '67, I drove for Carroll Shelby and Lou Baney and the Ford Camry in '67, and Carroll, I got to know him really well, and Ford gave me a GT Ford, a '57 Mustang, a Shelby Mustang GT, a 500.
Oh,
White one with the blue stripes on it, the spoiler, the 500. And I drove one of those around for a long time.
I think you are breaking news right now by telling the world that because
Well,
I have a friend who's a big 67 Cuda guy or 67 GT 500 guy, and I don't know if I've ever heard your name uttered with that car before.
yeah, probably not. Probably not. I had the car for quite a while, the whole time I drove for him. But to be honest with you, I'm just going to piss some of your Ford viewers off. It The car had a fiberglass deck lid on it with the spoiler, and it wasn't sealed good around the deck lid. And with that spoiler in the back, the exhaust fumes would come right up through there and used to drive me out of the car. So I don't want to put shit on those cars, but at the time I didn't enjoy driving it that much because of things like that. It was in the early days where they were having teething problems building those cars. They were all hand built, the Shelby. So, that was to be expected, I guess. But I do remember that.
Now, in the book, you got this awesome story about the first time you see Carroll Shelby, and
Yeah.
uh, and basically, I'll summarize it because you want to read the whole story in the book. But he gets out, he's this tall, handsome dude, and he's got this smoking hot chick with him
Yeah.
with a beer between her legs when she gets
Yeah.
out of the car.
Yeah.
Is that America or what? Right there.
Oh man, yeah. Well, Carol, that they had just won the pretty much I think the 24 hours of Le Mans, and I knew of him, but got to remember in those days it wasn't televised or anything. It was all
Sure.
hearsay or maybe some pictures and stuff, but you certainly didn't see the races on TV like you do now. But Carroll Shelby had the Goodyear tire distributor and handled the Goodyear racing slicks. So we were Roland and I were over at his shop, which is by LAX, and we were in the back mounting our tires. Those days you did them yourself. They
Hmm.
didn't mount them for you. You mounted the goddamn things. So we're mounting them. We're all sweaty out there, and I look over right at me. Here comes this Lincoln Continental, really a gold one, a really badass car in its day. It come pulling in there, and this guy behind the wheel looked over at me and motioned me to come over to the car. And I did, and lo and behold, it was Carroll Shelby, and he introduced himself. Hey, I'm Carroll Shelby, and
Yeah.
and he had this gal sitting next to him with short skirt on, with a cold can of beer between her legs, and they were all eating beer nuts. And I think with Al Dow was in the seat too, so it was three of them in the front seat, and I thought he was the coolest son of a bitch I ever met in my life. And to the day we lost him, I thought that the guy was magical. We remained great friends for many years.
So bring me up to 67. How does Carroll Shelby get involved with you in racing?
We were running a Lou Baney car. Peak built the engine at Pink. It had aluminum heads on it, Donlong chassis, and it hauled ass. It was Pink was an amazing job building the Ford Camry engine and lightweight car. And we were running the car, and of course, Ford was interested in it. And actually, Ford uh, connected us up with Shelby because he was doing his building a lot of aftermarket parts at the time,
Okay.
manifolds, whatever goodies. And uh, they thought it'd be a good connection to get hooked up with Carroll and do something. Well, we went and visit Carroll and got a meeting with him, and a guy by the name of Bill Donor worked for him, who became really famous in owning drag strips around and all. And that's the first time I laid eyes on Bill Donor. And we were in a meeting with Carroll, and I was nervous as hell, of course. Bainey was a businessman, but I was real nervous. Well, in the middle of the meeting, Carroll he got up and just walked out of the room, and I went into the next room, and I looked over at Donor. I says, "What does that mean?" He says, "I don't know, but it ain't good." With Carroll leaving. But that's the way Carroll would do things. Then he'd come back a little later. He kind of like, anyhow, he got the price. He got the deal and for a good price. And that was my first meetings with Carroll Shelby. And we remained pals ever since that. He's one of the all-time coolest guys ever.
He was leveraging himself by
Oh,
leaving
yeah.
the room to make you guys sweat. Okay.
Yeah, he dealt with Henry Ford and all the best of them, so he'd chew us up like it was nothing.
He knew all the tricks of the trade,
Yeah,
man.
so it was the Carroll, so it was the Shelby Super Snake car after that. And,
Yeah.
it was great. Yeah.
So this has been awesome, Don. Let's finish it up with these 270
Okay.
Cudas that you guys had. You
like that, huh? The 70
Oh, hell
Cudas.
yeah, man. I think from what I've read, they were 446 pack cars, right? Or 6-barrel cars.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You remember if they were automatics or manuals?
Automatics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember them being sticks, 4 speeds or anything like that. No, they were automatics.
Now, did Lynn drive this car more than you? Or,
Yeah,
I mean, you're on the road a lot.
Yeah, but she drove it a little bit at home. Yeah, she drove it. Yeah, but back in those days, I mean, there wasn't a lot of people that had them, but yet that style of car was around. I mean, we went through the '57 Chevys and dual quads and the Corvette engines and all that stuff, and the '57 Chevys, and the next thing come along, with Hemi Cudas, and they were badass street cars in their day, man. That was we were in seventh heaven, having all that stuff. It was and to be cooked up with Plymouth and the factory, it was amazing times. And the direct connection, they had a direct connection promotion going, and they built another yellow Hot Wheel Cuda just like mine. It was on display, dealerships all around the country, along with their whole display at
that was called the Rapid Transit Caravan.
Rapid Transit, exactly.
Yep, yeah. And they created, Chrysler created these custom builds, and then they brought some street cars with too, some Superbirds, and they brought your funny car with. Now, I'm guessing that's a car that was probably just a promotional vehicle or a display vehicle, or was that a car that you actually raced? Was it one of the?
It was a car I actually ended up using to race, because it had Ronnie Screama built the cars, and it was an exact copy of the car I had,
Wow.
So it was a runnable car, yeah.
Talk about authentic, yeah. That Rapid Transit Caravan, that just went from city to city and stop to stop, and they would tear down and set up, and this caravan of cars would just keep on going down the road. And did they ever ask you to meet up at some of these dealerships and whatnot to do personal fixes?
I did a few times, but not that much. We race 2 or 3 times a week at different drag strips.
Yeah.
It isn't like you'd go to Pomona and run for 3 days at one track. We'd run, Martin, Michigan on a Saturday night, and US 30 on a Sunday. Union Grove, Wisconsin, like on a Thursday night. So we lived like gypsies, and we had these Hot Wheel trucks with these sleepers in the back, behind the second seat. There's a sleeper back there, and we'd trade off driving, going down the road, and travel all around the country, man. We would pull into a drag strip, and a lot of times, and most of the times, people would offer their cars up. And especially if a guy had a Barracuda or something, we would use that as a tow vehicle and put our batteries in the back of the guy's trunk, whoever it might be. And they were thrilled to death to use it as a tow truck and tow us around.
Well, with that, man, what an interview. I got to interview Don Prudhomme, and I got to work on a book with him. I think I'm good. I think everything's all right in the world right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed doing the book.
Yeah.
I encourage people that are interested in my story to reach out and get it. They're still available on the internet, snakeracing.com. They can find it,
Yeah, and that's just it. And they
good
come
read.
autographed, people. You're getting Don's signature in this book.
Yeah.
And man, what a cool piece of history to own. So with that, Snake, man, I gotta say thank you again. And
All right.
always a pleasure chatting with you, buddy. I'll see you down the road.
All right, man. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Wow, what an interview, right? Don the Snake Prudhomme, live and in color here for you guys to watch. Guys, head over to snakeracing.com right after this. Check out what materials he has available. Don't miss the opportunity to buy an autographed copy from Don's new book, Don the Snake Prudhomme, My Life Beyond the 1320. Do it now. I'm Wes Eisenschenk. Thanks for watching Lost and Found Muscle Cars. We'll see you down the road.